Hello, welcome to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady Trinette Wilson, your lecturer and social historian. And we've been on our food kick talking about soul food. Definitely click down below and learn about Pigfoot Mary. But it's summertime, and nothing could be more refreshing than a big old piece of ice cream. I love ice cream, banana nut, and strawberry in particular, if you want to send me some. Now, when the ice cream truck comes down the street when we were young, we used to run down that street and catch that ice cream truck, and I would always get an ice cream sandwich. And so it is such a staple in so many people's life, but a lot of people don't know that there was an innovator in 1897 who also liked ice cream. And he developed a tool for us to be able to enjoy it even faster. His name was Alfred L. Cralle, and he is the inventor of the ice cream scooper and scraper. Now, these are pictures of him, supposedly. Y'all, when I went out to try to find a picture of him, there were so many different people who they said was him, and I don't think none of them are here. So we're just going to use this illustration as a picture of him so that we can kind of get our bearings about us. And this one here, this is Lewis Lattimore, so this is not him. So there may be some confusion as to what he looks like, but I'm going to use the illustration, okay? Now, there is no exact date as to when the ice cream was created. It was over 2,000 years ago, as early as that time. And they said that the Persians and the Chinese were the first to use it, and they would mix snow with grape juice. Now, that sounds like an ice cream cone today. We have ice cream cone places all around the place. Here in my city, so I know y'all probably have them too. So this is when ice cream first, kind of a mix of it first began. Now, it started appearing in cookbooks around the 17th century, and that would be about the 1600s. And it was considered to be a luxury. So the highfalutin people would, have their chefs prepare them some ice cream. In 1843, there was a woman, and her name was Nancy Jones, and she patented the hand cranked ice cream maker. And in 1851, Jacob Fussell, he opened the first ice cream factory. And of course, homes across America enjoyed it. But when they would scoop the ice cream, they didn't really have a good ice cream scooper. They would use like two spoons and put that together. So that was a problem. Now, let's be very clear. He did not create the ice cream scooper. The ice cream scooper was really first created back in 1876. So that was the first time that it was patented by a man named Khalil, and it was the first prototype of it. But Mr. Krale's ice cream scooper was the first one that also had a ice scraper with it. So that's what really kind of made the difference. So if you ever hear any, discrepancy on that, that is something to clear that up for you. Now, Mr. Cralle, Alfred Cralle, was born on September the 4th, 1866. And this was right after the Civil War. And he was born in Cambridge, Lutenberg County, Virginia. His father's name was Alphys, and his mother's name was Martha Ann Street. Now, he was good with his hands, and he would help his father do like carpentry work and things like that. So he did help his father growing up. And he also attended school, which was something that was really getting pushed at that time to educate freedmen. So he was also being educated as well. So with his education, his father thought it'd be best that he continued to get educated. So they moved him on to Washington, D.C. And he attended a school. It was a seminary, and it was established by the American Baptist Home Mission Society. And it was their goal to train African Americans who were free to enter ministry. So that was their whole stick. So they would go around and recruit kids and families, and they would live in these places, and they would pay for everything, their food, their lodging, and everything. So there were different groups who were doing this, but this was one of the biggest ones. And after he graduated, he moved to Pittsburgh. Now, in Pittsburgh, he was serving as a porter at a drugstore, and then also at a hotel. And he noticed At the hotel, the servers were struggling to serve the people ice creams. As I mentioned, they had some real kind of, old stuff to kind of pull that ice cream out, scoop that ice cream out. And he saw that and he said, let me see what I can do in order to address this problem. So he made his drawing and he did his first application for the ice cream scooper on June the 10th, 1896. And after he submitted it, it was approved on February the 2nd, 1897. So he started, um, kind of try to market and get people know. But the thing is, he didn't have any money. He wasn't from a wealthy family. I just said he was a porter, so he wasn't making any money, and he didn't know how to get investments because that's what should have happened. He should have gotten an investment, and then from that investment, he could have either created it or sold it to a bigger place. So he could have been able to manufacture it on a large level. But you don't really hear anything about it. It was called the ice cream mold and disher, but it never went anywhere. He was only 30 years old when he did it, but he had to go into business. And he did fairly well as a businessman. When he was 24, he met, in 1900, he met and married his wife. Her name was Elizabeth, and they were married on September the 20th, 1900. They had one son and two daughters. And though he created that ice cream scooper, he didn't really make any money from it to take care of his family. So what he had to do is he was a marketer for business owners. And so that's kind of what he did. Now, the man who manufactured the ice cream scoopers and ice cream period started in 1897. So that was when the first manufacturing ice cream plant was open. So Alfred became a business promoter, and he also was the assistant manager for the African American Financial Accumulating Merchandise and Business Association. That was kind of a mouthful. And that's how he took care and provided for his family. So people don't know him for the utensil that he created and made better. And I just wanted to give him his roses and acknowledge the work that he did from looking and seeing a problem and developing something that could address that problem. And Black people were very famous for doing that back then. They really created a lot of our inventions today, or bettered the creation of a lot of our inventions. I'd like to see kids get back into inventing and using their mind, with chat GTP and with all of the technology. They don't do it as much anymore. So now I said his life was tragic because it did take a tragic end. Sadly, in 1918, his life turned around completely. He lost his beloved wife and one of his daughters to an infectious disease. And then he lost his son in 1920. So that was just really sad. So he was only left with his surviving daughter. Her name was Anne, and she was actually born in 1910. So she was only 8 years old and 10 years old when she began to lose her family and her siblings. But it became even sadder when Mr. Alfred Cralle lost his life himself on May the 6th, 1920, in a car accident. And when during that time, cars had only been around for like 10, 15 years, and there was a lot of wrecks happening around that time. So there was a lot of accidents, and he was unfortunately, he perished in that, and he's buried there in Pittsburgh. So I want to, of course, say rest in peace to all of those family members, and the only one who survived was his daughter Anne. So that is the story of Mr. Alfred Cralle, creator of the ice cream scraper and scooper. I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson. As always, it is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Don't forget, go down below and tell me, what is your favorite ice cream? Now, I got my information from blackpast.org, remembered and reclaimed. I also read an article in the Pittsburgh Press dated May 28th, 2018, and there were the African American notes. Lastly, I also read an article in Cooking America. So that's where I got my information from. And I really thank you all for joining me for today's lesson. Now, don't forget, go down and hit like, share, and subscribe and listen to some of our other great videos. I want to thank you for joining me for another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Have a